Welcome to the Strength for the Day podcast, which is a daily Bible study with Dennis Fountain. We hope this time together will be challenging, sharpening, uplifting, encouraging, and strengthening to your Christian walk. Thank you for joining us, and we pray you are helped through today's study.
Hey, good morning, and welcome back to Strength for the Day. We are currently studying the book of Joshua, and really we're kind of looking at Joshua and the people of Israel and their conquest of the nation of Israel, the land, the promised land that God had given to them. And of course, if you recall with us, Joshua was the selected leader that would bring them into the promised land after Moses had passed off the scene. And so we just recently have been with Joshua as they came over the Jordan River. They faced the enemies of Jericho, of Ai, and then began to conquer some of the land and some of the people that were in the area, like the Lord had told them. And then we were with Joshua in our last episode in chapter number 9, and we were really received a warning about following our own heart before receiving the counsel of the Lord. And Joshua and the people of Israel did that with the nation of Gibeon, and that city of Gibeon, really not a nation, but the city of Gibeon, and the people there that made a peace treaty with the children of Israel, and the children of Israel did not seek the Lord. Joshua 9:14 says the men of Israel took some of their provisions, but they did not ask counsel of the Lord. And remember, the Lord had told them to go in and to conquer the land, but here they are making a peace treaty with someone from the land, and God had told them not to do that. And so they got themselves kind of in a bind, and we're going to see that really come back to hurt them here in chapter number 10. And ultimately, this would be a bind that would hurt them in the future a number of times. And so we were encouraged in our last episode to really just pay attention to seeking the counsel of the Lord before following our own heart, remembering that the heart is deceitful above all things and it's desperately wicked. So we need God to direct our decisions. Today, we come to Joshua chapter number 10. We're going to read the first 15 verses of this chapter and see a great story unfold before us in Joshua chapter 10. So verse number 1 says this: Now it came to pass that when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, heard how Joshua had taken Ai and had utterly destroyed it, as he had done to Jericho and its king, so he had done to Ai and its king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon made peace with Israel and were among them, that they, Adonizedek and Jerusalem, they feared greatly, because Gibeon was a great city, like one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all its men were mighty. Therefore, Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, sent to Hoham, king of Hebron, Piram, king of Jarmuth, Japhia, king of Lachish, and Debir, king of Eglon, saying, Come up to me and help me, that we may attack Gibeon, for it has made peace with Joshua and with the children of Israel. So Adonizedek, really that area of Jerusalem, would be really in the backyard of Gibeon, so to speak. And so hearing that there's this peace treaty between Gibeon and the people of Israel, man, now he's scared. So he's going to pursue and going to attack Gibeon for making this peace treaty with Israel. So he reaches out to other kings in the area and says, hey, come and let's attack. Verse number 5, therefore the 5 kings of the Amorites, so the kings that Adonizedek reached out to, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon, gathered together and went up, they and all their armies, and camped before Gibeon and made war against it. And the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua at the camp at Gilgal, saying, Do not forsake your servants. Come up to us quickly. Save us and help us, for all the kings of the Amorites who dwell in the mountains have gathered together against us. So Gibeon, who Joshua had made this peace treaty with, now they're surrounded by these 6 kings, and so they send word to Joshua. He's in Gilgal. Hey, you said you would have our back. Come and prove it. Verse 7. So Joshua ascended from Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. And the Lord said to Joshua, Do not fear them, for I have delivered them into your hand. Not a man of them shall stand before you. Joshua therefore came upon them suddenly, having marched all night from Gilgal, which would be up north. So the Lord routed them before Israel, killed them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, chased them along the road that goes to Beth Horon, and struck them down as far as Azekah and Makkedah. And it happened as they fled before Israel and were on the descent of Beth Horon, that the Lord cast down large hailstones from heaven on them as far as Azekah, and they died. There were more who died from the hailstones than the children of Israel killed with the sword. Then Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Aijalon. So the sun stood still, the moon stopped until the people had revenge upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and did not hasten to go down for about a whole day. And there has been no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord heeded the voice of man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to the camp at Gilgal. This is just a great story. I've been to the place where this took place, to that mountain where as far as Azekah and man, I'm trying to think of the mountain that this took place on, but it overlooks all of these valleys. And I've stood there and just kind of thought through this story. And many of you have heard the story when Joshua prayed and the sun stood still and God gave him great victory. But something I want us to kind of look at in this short little story is the difference between Adonizedek and Joshua and their leadership. So remember, Joshua is conquering the land. God is providing great victory. The people of the land, the people who were against the nation of Israel and against God's people, they were beginning to realize God is with Joshua and these Hebrew people. Remember Rahab in Joshua chapter number 3 and 4 saying, "We know God is with you," and the people of Jericho knowing God had delivered them into the Hebrews' hand. The people of Ai the same. Gibeon made peace because of the same. And now Adonizedek is like here, and he knows. I know that Joshua is leading God's people. I know God is with Joshua. So Adonizedek, knowing that, he still chooses to fight against Joshua and to stand against those who have sided with Joshua, Gibeon. And so he responds, knowing that God is real, he responds in fear. Whereas Joshua, knowing God is in control, he responds in faith. Man, he just moves forward, trusting the steps that God is giving to him each and every day, trusting the decisions that God is leading him to make each and every day. And Joshua sees a great victory, where Adonizedek sees a great defeat. Now, what are some principles that we could learn from this? Well, I think about your life and my life. When I come up against decisions and challenges in life, when I come up against opposition in my life, how do I respond? I know God is God and I know God is in control, but do I respond with the spirit of Adonizedek and come up with my solutions and my theories and my way to accomplish things? Or do I pursue God's plan? And do I allow God to lead my life and allow faith to operate in my life? And when opposition comes, do I try to solve the problems myself, or do I go to God for his wisdom? And so I find a great challenge here, looking at Adonizedek and looking at Joshua and how they both respond, knowing that God is God. Boy, I want to be the Joshua that says, Lord, I'm going to follow you by faith. This doesn't make sense. I don't know how this is going to work, but by faith, I'm going to follow you. So I see that challenge, but I also see this challenge. You know, Joshua was going into a battle, and he made a very big request to the Lord. Hey, God, I'm praying that you would make the sun stand still. I need the sun to stand still. Here's a big request, Lord, for your glory. And something I'm challenged with every time I read that passage, every time I think about it, is the question, what big requests am I asking of God? God still wants to work miracles in the lives of his people. I was listening to a song today as I was driving in to record. Man, God does not change, and God is still a miracle working God that wants to show up and do great things in the lives of his people. But you know what we fail to do? We fail to request that of God. Hey, God, here's this big request I'm asking of you, and I'm going to trust you with the decision. But Lord, I'm asking. I'm thinking about me as a pastor. Boy, I'm praying right now that God would open up the funding for our church building. And that's a big request. Honestly, it's daunting to me. It's been a couple of years that we've been in this process, and I'm beginning to go, man, Lord, what is your plan here? And God's just saying, hey, just have patience. But you know what I'm coming back to? Even this week, I'm asking the Lord, all right, God, I'm going to start taking some steps of faith. Lord, I need you to do the big thing. And so what is it in your life that you're going to just begin praying and say, God, this would be a miracle. So Lord, I'm trusting you, but here's my big request. So I hope that those two thoughts would help us today. Number one, how do I respond when opposition comes? Do I have fear that drives me to make my own decisions and frantically try to solve it? Or do I have faith that trusts in God? And then that second thing, what's my big request of God right now? Hey, God, what miracle are you asking God to do in your life right now? May we be challenged by that. I look forward to jumping back into chapter 10. We'll pick up in verse number 16 and watch Joshua pursue these kings and God give them great victory tomorrow. We'll see that. And so have a great day trusting in the Lord and asking great things from God. We'll look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's episode. Have a good day.